Welcome back to the Sala History Campaign for the Freespace Port and Inferno here on Paladin Gaming. We're going into the finale, the 40th mission of the 40th and final mission of the Sala History Campaign. Sala 2372 arc. The irony is, of course, immense, and in some academic circles, a Jovian folly means more than the mere sum of its component parts. Pirates, supplied and egged on by their Jovian benefactors to pester and possibly even harm the Earth Alliance, managed to destroy perhaps one of the best-loved ships in the EA Armada. In return, the EA promptly destroyed the pirates and then their rebel masters. While one must always remember that, certainly by this time, the EAI commissars held the deciding vote in going to war, popular opinion was most definitely in backing of seeking vengeance for the Terius, against the pirates or against the rebels. The populace was not dragged into any war, not this time. Possibly the reverse, as EAI commissars bowed to public opinion and sanctioned the deployment of the Lindos to Pluto. It was only after the destruction of the main pirate base and the end of organized pirate resistance that the Jovians were discovered as manipulators of the ragtag asteroid belt fleet. An unsupported attack on the Maginot Line by the Empress, not to mention the Jovian High Command eager to take advantage of the initiative, failed and created an opening for the EA. Although many target the final battle around Jupiter as the deciding moment of the 2372 war, this historian feels that the true moment of victory came when the EA managed to parry the rebel attack and set in motion their own plans. A series of offensives from the rear of the rebel front while the EA kept the rebels occupied. Had the EA lost their momentum, or had the Jovians never lost theirs, the outcome of the war could have been very different. The EA, through their temporary flagship, Lindos, secured Neptune, Uranus, and Saturn, obliterating 2 destroyers, the Tempest and the Constant, in the process. The rebels were caught unawares, and the Lindos caused a lot of damage, namely the UNU, before the rebels caught on, by which time reinforcements for the Lindos had arrived, and Saturn was under siege. Eventually, the Jovians were cornered. All other planets were under EA control, and a fleet of warships surrounded their home. A desperate attempt by the once again unsupported Empress to destroy the headquarters of EA High Command failed. Their only choice was to stand and fight. While the more romantic of us might express feelings of admiration for the gutsy rebels, one believes that the decision was born less out of idealism and more out of an inability to do anything else. The final attack came in the form of a multi-pronged attack. Pairs of EA destroyers each led attacks on various rebel positions within the system of Jupiter's moons. The only exception was the assault on the Jovian headquarters and the 3 surviving rebel capital ships, Eternity, Imperial, and Majesty, which was led by Nemesis. Curiously, while the Terius was popular with the people for its longevity and familiarity and despised by High Command for extremely high repair costs and constant retrofits, a new and untested Nemesis was the prize of the EA but distrusted by the populace. Regardless, it was the Nemesis with its heavy armor and powerful weaponry that struck the death blow against the rebels. With the end to any further possible hostilities, save the reopening of the Delta Serpentis jump node, one might expect an end to the various security measures limiting the freedoms of the population. Ah ha ha ha, like that ever happens. However, this was not to be. In hindsight, the end of the conflict in the Sol system did not bring about an era of eternal peace and enlightenment, but the general unwillingness of High Command to relinquish power is somewhat worrying. Somewhat. Furthermore, the end of the war saw further mobilization, not demobilization. More warships were built, more fighter craft constructed. The creation of the EAI Timuros system, despite the absence of any foreign hostile power, should be indication enough of the Earth Alliance's desire to strengthen military and thus its own power against giving power back to the people. Excerpt from T.P. Anderson's The Sol System, 2335 to 2372. Well, let's get to the finale, whatever it might happen to be. Triumphant. In reward for your service to the Earth Alliance, you have been chosen to take part in the victory parade through the Sol System. You may accompany the Nemesis for as long a time as you wish, but bask in the glory while you can, pilot. Tomorrow it's back to work. Primary objectives: escort Nemesis. Alright, let's do that. The iron is, of course, immense, and it's not like it. Oh, this is just what we just read. Yeah. So this is the setting of the last mission. Like, we're in the same place. Someone cleaned up the debris. Let's take a tour of the ship. Alright. The Eclipse, 2 corvettes, 4 cruisers, a bunch of fighters. So we, destroying 2 Majesty destroyers, that's different. The Tempest wasn't a Majesty class. Neither was the Constant, actually. But yeah, this is what we read at the opening of the mission. The SCOTUS is, that's the vertical launch system, where it says keep clearing all those hatches. The SCOTUS is, asymmetrical. What is this thing? Looks like a beam cannon. That is an enormous radar dish. Why is that backwards? Protect, prosper, preserve, preserve. Why is it backwards? Yeah, anyone who would expect that High Command would give up power, military dictatorship would just give up power once the external threat was gone, doesn't know how military dictatorships work. Okay, it's not mirrored on the Nemesis. Huh. Nemesis can go 15 meters per second. Wonder why she was crawling along at 10 during the actual combat deployment. Exposed piping. Always a good idea on a warship. Alright. And that's the end of the excerpt. There's that main beam cannon. That one shot 2 kills a destroyer and an Arcadia. And an Arcadia installation. I believe that's the hangar bay door. How did Beta get... What happened to you, Beta? You ran something? Beta 3? Okay. Well, I think we've had about enough of this. Let's get out of here. There's not even any dialogue unlike the previous ones. The end. No recommendations for the end. Alright, so... Obviously we didn't shoot anything because there was nothing to shoot at. So our all-time total for the Sol 2372 arc of the campaign stands at 48 kills and 26 assists. So this has been Triumphant, the final mission of the Sol: A History campaign for the Freespace Port and Inferno here on Paladin Gaming. The Inferno timeline resumes in 2399 with the main Inferno campaign already played here on Paladin Gaming. I'll drop a link to the beginning of its playlist in the cards on this video. So this has been the Sol: A History campaign for the Freespace Port and Inferno here on Paladin Gaming. Hope you enjoyed. This is Paladin Gaming signing off.